while he's young enough to be my son, he left me as a brother.
When you lose a police officer, it's like you lose a hero. You know, a hero is gone.
He paid the price, the ultimate price for helping us out.
David is a warrior, a leader, a guardian, and a brother.
He passed away and he left us doing what he loved.
And thank you, your life matters.
He's just a phenomenal person, very well liked, did his job the right way with professionalism, and he just honored our badge, and we're going to miss him deeply.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Courtney Bryant.
And I'm Kurt Rivera. Today we are mourning the loss of a local hero, Bakersfield police officer David Nelson, killed in a car crash in the line of duty.
Tonight we have team coverage on this day of remembrance. Adam Herbets is at the crash site in Northeast Bakersfield with a look back at Officer Nelson's life.
Our Tom Murphy spoke with the community with their messages of condolences for the officer's family.
Carol Ferguson is at Laredo Jail with new information on the man accused of starting the police pursuit that led to Officer Nelson's death.
But first, reporter Jose Gaspar is live in Glendale, where the fallen officer is being laid to rest today.
Kurt, this all began with the funeral service began with a church service at nearby Forest Lawn Memorial Park over in Los Angeles, just a few miles away from here. We are now awaiting the arrival of that procession to arrive here at Forest Lawn Cemetery in Glendale. And as you can see behind me now, people are lining up awaiting the arrival of the casket, the hearse to arrive with the family and so forth and so on. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of police officers, not just from around Kern County, but from around Southern California as well, as they are here to pay their last respects to Officer David Nelson. The casket containing the body of Bakersfield police officer David Nelson is unloaded at the Hall of Liberty. An honor guard stands at attention. David Nelson was just 26 years old, a 2-year veteran of the Bakersfield Police Department.
I take great pride in the fact that we got to spend 2 years with Officer David Nelson, that we had him for that long, serving our community, and really just being a exemplary police officer who was very brave, very courageous.
His life ended too soon, killed in the line of duty when his patrol vehicle crashed into a wall during a high-speed pursuit early Friday morning. The outpouring of support has been overwhelming. Many public officials from Bakersfield came to his funeral.
It's imperative that the police officers know that they have our support, and when something like this happens, you drop everything and be here.
Those who knew him say it was a job he loved doing and was proud to do it.
Did his job day in and day out, came to work with enthusiasm and ready to protect our community, which he's not even from.
His death touches not just his family, but his brothers and sisters in law enforcement.
God calls you home when it's his time, not yours. We all think in terms of a 26-year-old, and he's got life in front of him, and it's for us it's the saddest thing that could ever happen. And I know his family's got to be grieving tremendously. I thank him for the service that he was doing for the city.
You can see the hundreds of law enforcement personnel, many from the Kern County Sheriff's Department, as well as throughout Kern County, are now here lining up, awaiting the arrival of the casket, which should be at any moment. The burial service began the funeral service started at about 1:30, but it has run obviously long, and then had to make its way here to the park where the burial will actually take place. Again, the officers obviously feeling the personal loss of their fellow brother and officer who was killed in the line of duty. Reporting live from Glendale, I'm Jose Gaspar. Now back to you in the studio.
Jose, thank you.
Well, today's funeral for Officer Nelson lasting for nearly 2 hours as friends, family, and co-workers shared stories about the fallen officer.
Eyewitness News reporter Matt Boone has a look at today's services. Matt.
Courtney, David Nelson was remembered as a hero, not just for being a police officer, but for his actions in everyday life. Media was not allowed into the funeral services. However, the family did make a recording of them available online. California Attorney General Kamala Harris was there, making opening remarks, addressing Officer Nelson's family directly.
Your son was taken from us far too soon, but the ultimate sacrifice he made cannot, and I promise you, will not be forgotten.
Those who knew him described him as energetic, upbeat, caring, and passionately loyal.
Doesn't matter if you met him once or if you've known him your whole life. His personality was so infectious that it was guaranteed to leave an indelible impression.
David is a warrior, a leader, a guardian, and a brother.
One friend remembered him particularly for his tenacity.
We tried to convince him that Chick-fil-A should not be consumed at the amount he ate it. Didn't buy it.
Another remembering him for his near boundless energy.
We'd be at the gym or playing basketball, but then he'd come straight home and ask if I wanted to get in a bag workout on Phil's punching bag out back. Honestly, don't know when he ever slept.
And his uncle, recalling even from an early age Officer Nelson's sense of selflessness and dedication.
David's ideology was a simple one. We see it emblazoned on police vehicles across the land: to protect and to serve. His goal in life was a reflection of the Bakersfield PD's mission statement. He was committed to achieving excellence in public safety by conducting himself with honor.
If you'd like to watch today's services in their entirety, a link is available on our website, bakersfieldnow.com. In studio, Matt Boone, Eyewitness News.
Thanks, Matt. So what events led us to where we are tonight?
Friday, June 26th, 2:37 a.m. Officer David Nelson stops a car near Flower and Haley Streets, but the driver takes off. Minutes later, tragedy. Nelson's car slams into a wall at Panorama Drive and Mount Vernon Avenue. The car catches fire and fellow officers pull him out. But at 3:05, Officer Nelson is pronounced dead at Kern Medical Center. Later that day, a reward is put out for information leading to the arrest of the suspect Officer Nelson was chasing. And on Saturday, a breakthrough. At 8:30 that morning, police get a tip the car Nelson was chasing was seen in the 2600 block of Sunny Lane in Bakersfield. Police find it and take 32-year-old Julian Hernandez into custody. At 11:30 that night, Hernandez is officially arrested in connection with Officer Nelson's death. And on June 30th, he is formally charged with several felonies, including vehicular manslaughter and evading an officer causing death. That same evening, a public viewing is held for Officer Nelson at Forest Lawn Cemetery in Glendale, where he is being buried today.
And people who knew him say Officer David Nelson was a phenomenal officer and a phenomenal person.
Our Adam Herbets is live on Panorama Drive at the scene of the crash with more. Adam.
Well, Courtney, this memorial on Panorama has grown and grown and grown. I'll get out of the way so you can see it. There are balloons, there are candles, there are posters, you name it. This community bent over backwards to make this officer feel loved. Today, we spoke to some of the men who worked and trained alongside Officer David Nelson. Today, Chief Greg Williamson is at a funeral. On Monday, he was at a podium, sharing the moment he had to tell Officer David Nelson's family that they lost a loved one.
While he's young enough to be my son, he left me as a brother.
Nelson graduated from Burbank High School and Occidental College. The chief calls him a gym rat, a big-time basketball player that never took a day off.
I saw his face and it was like chills rather than anything. It took my breath away. How did someone I see every single day all of a sudden not be here anymore?
While Bryson Cotton is left behind at the gym, he wants to thank Nelson's family for raising a gentleman.
Humble but very hardworking.
Nelson joined the Bakersfield Police Department 2 years ago, but the people he worked with say he acted like a veteran.
There's nothing you could say about this man that wasn't absolutely stellar.
Jeff Tack has been a reserve officer for 28 years and has been out in the field with Nelson a handful of times.
Spot on, as great a cop as you're going to find. As hard as it is to get through, they're honoring a hero.
Now, he's one of the many people leaving messages for a grieving family. He told them that David Nelson will never be forgotten.
He immediately inspired a confidence. He had a presence as if he'd been there for 15 years and beyond. He did an incredible job.
If you would like to send messages or condolences to the Nelson family, you can do that until July 10th. 1-852-7021. We're live in Northeast Bakersfield. Adam Herbetz, Eyewitness News. Kurt, Courtney.
Adam, thank you.
As Adam mentioned, support has been pouring in from the community as people send their condolences to Officer Nelson's family. Eyewitness News reporter Tom Murphy is live to give us a look at those. Tom.
Loved ones, we've heard from the chief at the funeral. Part of being a police officer, part of one of the most basic principles of having that badge, protecting people that you will never know. Today we spoke to the community and heard from their support.
The balloons have deflated, the flowers have started to wither, but even on a gloomy Wednesday, a flame still flickers, brightening up the crash site the same way Officer David Nelson seemed to brighten up the Bakersfield Police Department.
They're out there trying to protect us every day and what they go through, and it's really just a sad, sad thing.
We've heard from people that knew Nelson, but it's not just friends and family feeling the loss.
Saddened whenever we have a public servant, and especially one who's constantly giving their life daily. Not that police officers are always correct, but we must, as a society, respond.
And that response has been heard.
Records, this is Lauren. How may I help you?
The condolences line set up by the Bakersfield Police Department has been filled since Friday.
We haven't really counted them, but there's definitely a lot.
A lot of support across Bakersfield.
It's always sad when we lose an officer, no matter when or where or how.
Back at the crash site, one of Officer Nelson's BPD brothers maintains a different scene than he's used to.
It just shows their character and stuff, and what a good department it really is, you know, and they all are a family. They're all going to bond together.
And together, the people we spoke to all have a similar message.
Well, my heart goes out to the family.
Our hearts go out to, I know my family, to the loved ones who have lost a loved one.
So I'm sorry for his family and for everyone involved. Let's hope it doesn't happen again.
Again, we're at the crash site right now, and I have a bit of breaking news to report. I just got off the phone with a detective with the Bakersfield Police Department. He gave me the exact numbers in terms of how many people have actually called the condolence line. 120 phone calls have come in from the community so far, offering their respects towards David Nelson. I have another piece of breaking news right now. We apparently have a live picture of the motorcade that is happening in Glendale. Let's go out there right now. From Northeast Bakersfield, Tom Murphy. Let's talk.
All right, we apologize for some of the video that we're seeing. Here is that live motorcade that Tom referred to, now entering Glendale. It's been a long day for officers from across the state.
Yeah, and a lot of people from Bakersfield, of course, public officials, local people in law enforcement, again, Attorney General Kamala Harris from the state of California, all a part of that procession there. Quite a big police force showing up to show their support to Officer Nelson's family.
Again, these are officers, law enforcement from across California who are attending the service. As it happens, unfortunately, every time an officer falls in the line of duty here. The funeral services began around 1:30. As you see the hearse now entering your picture, carrying Officer Nelson's body. Again, services began around 1:30, as our Jose Gaspar noted there, and they've gone a little over what they had planned, but law enforcement waiting for the hearse to arrive there for Officer Nelson's body to be laid to rest. And if you want to attend a local memorial service to honor the officer, there will be one right here in Bakersfield at the Rabobank Theater next Tuesday. The location is on Truxton Avenue between Chester and Union. Service will be held at 3 p.m. And the Bakersfield Police Department is putting together a book of remembrance, which they plan to give to the Nelson family. If you have a memory, story, or message of condolence, you can send them to his family. Please email it to condolencesatbakersfieldpd.us. You have until Friday, July 10th.
People across Kern County and around the country are also honoring Officer Nelson by placing a blue light outside their home. The tradition goes back to the 1980s. The blue light acts as a symbol of light shining in times of darkness. It also serves as a nightly vigil. Hundreds of people have been posting photos of their lights on the Facebook page, Lights On for David Nelson. The only issue, due to the popularity of the tradition, finding a blue light has become challenging.
Yeah, I'll probably keep it on for the next couple weeks. It was crazy. I actually went to Home Depot, and Home Depot was all sold out of blue lights. Every single version of blue light that they had was sold out. Went over to Lowe's, they only had 5 left, and I bought all 5, and I've given them to buddies of mine.
We've noticed some people on the Facebook page have been improvising by painting their lights or covering them with blue tape or tissue paper. We encourage the support, but to prevent another tragedy, please be sure to do it safely.
Meantime, the man accused of causing the chase that led to the death of Officer David Nelson is now in jail facing 5 felony charges. Eyewitness News reporter Carol Ferguson has new information tonight on the case and looks at what's ahead. Carol?
32-year-old Julian Hernandez is way behind me here in the maximum medium unit at the Laredo jail tonight. We now know what he told investigating officers after he was arrested. He was in court facing the 5 felony charges just over 24 hours ago. Julian Hernandez faces felony counts of evading an officer causing death and vehicular manslaughter with gross negligence. The patrol car crashed as Officer David Nelson chased Hernandez, investigators say, killing the officer.
These charges are the ones we felt are supported by the evidence in this case.
Current DA Lisa Green was asked why murder charges were not filed against Hernandez.
We did look at this from the perspective of what's known as a Watson murder that we see in charge in certain cases. So we evaluated the evidence, and the charges that we eventually filed were the ones that we felt we could prove.
A tip from the public led officers to a Northeast Bakersfield apartment where the suspect's silver Hyundai with paper plates had been spotted. Hernandez was found there, later arrested.
Didn't resist arrest, cooperated with investigators.
Court documents we obtained show Hernandez told detectives when Officer Nelson approached his car, he drove off fast, quote, pushing the accelerator pedal all the way to the floorboard. Hernandez is also charged with 3 counts related to being a felon in possession of a weapon and ammo. Investigators say a loaded 12-gauge shotgun was found at the crash, and their report says Hernandez told them he was going to drop that off to someone, but had the gun behind the driver's seat and was going to, quote, do whatever it took to avoid capture by the police. Green says Hernandez could face a maximum sentence of 12 years, 8 months if found guilty of the 5 charges against him, but she adds the investigation of the crash continues by the special CHP MATE team.
The more that we know about the circumstances, the better it is, and so at some point they will have a report.
If there are more developments in this case, of course we will let you know. Hernandez is now scheduled to be back in court on July 10th. We are live at the Laredo jail. Back to you.
Thank you, Carol.
The last 4 local law enforcement officials to die in the line of duty were all involved in vehicle pursuits.
Eyewitness News reporter Mimi Alcala brings back video from past fallen officers and how they too are being remembered. Mimi?
Courtney, Officer Nelson was only 26 years old. The last 4 officers killed from BPD, Kern County Sheriff's Department, and CHP were all under the age of 36. Tonight, we take a look back and remember those who died while protecting us right here in Kern County.
Law enforcement itself is inherently dangerous.
Weed Patch Highway, dedicated as the Deputy James Throne Memorial Highway in memory of the sheriff's deputy who died May 23, 2008 while on a chase.
Vehicle pursuits in particular, there's a lot of factors to consider that make them dangerous.
This is footage of that day. Throne's car slammed into another deputy's during a car chase near the highway. Throne was with the Kern County Sheriff's Department for 2 years and 6 months. He was only 29 and left behind a wife and 3 children.
Not knowing where we're going, trying to follow someone who's probably breaking the law as we're trying to follow them, makes it that much more dangerous.
Officer Eric Shane Manny, 35 years old, December 21, 2005, killed on the I-5 near the Grapevine while in the line of duty working for the California Highway Patrol. He was attempting to stop a vehicle that was going over 100 miles per hour. Officer Manny's patrol car rolled several times over an embankment. He was with the CHP for 8 years. He left behind a wife and 2 children.
As much as we prepare for it, again, we're still following someone that we don't know where they're going.
July 17, 1983, 27-year-old Bakersfield police officer William Leonard Sicola killed in a motorcycle accident while responding to assist in the pursuit of a stolen vehicle. He was with the agency for 4 years. He left behind a wife and 3 children.
Statistically, for us, most people unfortunately die in vehicle accidents in our line of work.
And now, another young man added to the list of fallen officers, 26-year-old David Nelson.
It's very sad and it's very tragic.
Now, Pluggy also tells me he hopes there is more communication between the community and law enforcement officers so that situations like this don't happen in the first place. Kurt?
Thanks, Mimi. And of course, the community has been showing quite a bit of support. A lot of it came in through social media. We compiled a collection of those thoughts and messages and have them for you.
Now, your First Alert weather forecast with Miles Museum.
Happy July, everybody, and it's so hot and muggy.
Indeed. And it is not only that, but gloomy in parts of California today, especially down in Glendale, where Officer David Nelson was being laid to rest tonight.
Yeah, of course, a lot of law enforcement there gathered outside. And there is the hearse containing Officer Nelson's casket, where he will soon be taken out and laid to rest at the graveside service at Forest Lawn, Glendale. They'll be doing that momentarily. They have appears the back of the hearse open, getting ready to take that out. Of course, the pallbearers are gathering, and that will happen shortly.
That's right, and law enforcement again from across California descending upon Southern California just for Officer Nelson's funeral and burial. The funeral service began at 1:30 and continue as you see there today in Glendale.
We'll continue to follow this for you, but for right now, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage, remembering Officer David Nelson of the Bakersfield Police Department. The officer now being laid to rest at Forest Lawn Cemetery in Glendale. That's right, Officer Nelson, of course, from Burbank, not far from Glendale, so that's where he will be laid to rest. He grew up in Burbank. He graduated from Burbank High School, worked as a police cadet in that city from 2008 to 2012. And now this is his final resting place, the Forest Lawn Cemetery in Glendale. You can hear those. We will let you listen in to the sounds of that salute going on right now.
Over, arch.
And you see officers from across the state standing at attention now, waiting for the casket carrying Officer David Nelson. You heard bagpipes and the officers saluting, and it looked like a contingent of Kern County Sheriff's deputies just arriving as well.
Kurt, this is Jose Gaspar here at Graveside Service. We are a few yards away from the actual service where the ceremony is taking place right now. The casket was unloaded just a couple of minutes ago, and as you just mentioned, everybody is at attention now as the ceremony has begun. This will be the burial, the final resting place for Officer David Nelson. A roughly 3-hour church service began at 1:30 at nearby Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood Hills, and then the procession, the motorcade, slowly made its way through the surface streets, finally arriving here at Forest Lawn in Glendale, roughly about 5:10 this evening. There is also a Los Angeles Police Department mounted detail that's going to be participating in the ceremony as well. Many dignitaries in and around Kern County. Kern County District Attorney Lisa Green is here, Bakersfield Mayor Harvey Hall, City Councilman Terry Maxwell, among some of the people from the government level attending here. And of course, the fellow brothers and sisters of Mr. Nelson that are here to pay their respects. Many of them from agencies that are no more than perhaps 7 to 8 officers total, from some of the very small departments to, of course, the very large ones. A good representation from the Los Angeles Police Department is here, as well as the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department are also here as well. And as you can see, Kern County Sheriff's deputies on scene have made a very strong presence as well. There is an honor guard that has been escorting the body of David Nelson ever since it arrived here on Friday from Bakersfield, and they have been here 24 hours a day, guarding and escorting the casket wherever it has gone. David Nelson, of course, was just 26 years old, and that's one thing that makes it so very hard for everybody here to understand, to contemplate, as he now enters his final resting place here at Forest Lawn Cemetery in Glendale. For now, I'm Jose Gaspar in Glendale. I'll toss it back to you.
All right, thanks, Jose. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the funeral of Officer David Nelson from the Bakersfield Police Department. We are looking live in Glendale, where his body is being laid to rest, and also what appears to be a trio of helicopters. You only see 2 on your screen there. There were 3 in the procession flying above Officer Nelson's funeral this afternoon.
Of course, they're down in the Glendale area at the Forest Lawn Cemetery. Right now, dignitaries, members of law enforcement from multiple agencies here in Bakersfield and also from the LA area are gathered there to remember Officer David Nelson, a Bakersfield police officer who was killed in the line of duty last Friday during a police pursuit. He will now reach his final resting place there at that cemetery where they are burying him right now.
That's right. Our Jose Gaspar has been out there since yesterday giving us details on the funeral and what is happening there with officers from all across the state. Jose, can you fill us in right now?
I'm not sure we have Jose right now, but he has been out there all day as the funeral services have been going on since about 1:30. He's been reporting for us, filling in the blanks. Jose, if you're there, you can cut in at any time.
You can see a large contingent of officers there, as Courtney just mentioned, from across California. What you're seeing there are a large contingent of officers from the Kern County Sheriff's Department there in the khaki-colored shirts and in the forest green uniform there, on honor guard also. And as Courtney mentioned, the LAPD, LA County Sheriffs there as well, and officers from around California from even some very small departments. We have our Jose Gaspar there live. Jose, go ahead.
Yes, Kurt, if you can hear me now, we have to deal with a lot of moving parts here to this story because the media is being held back, and a little bit, and we have to comply with the rules and regulations here of forest law, and everybody has been doing that so far. You mentioned the trio of helicopters. Those came in just as the bagpipes were playing, and then one of them diverted off, and the other two kept going to symbolize that an officer has fallen down. As you mentioned, the outpouring here of support has just been nothing short of amazing. The law enforcement personnel, it doesn't matter really whether you're CHP, BPD, Delano, Shafter, or whatever your agency may belong to, because in the long run, as one officer told me who did not wish to speak in camera, he said, you know, at the end of the day, we want to come home, and it doesn't matter what agency you belong to. We just want to come home to the family. When one of us takes a hit, we all take a hit. That was from an officer from Los Angeles Police Department who I spoke with a little while ago. But right now the service appears to be wrapping up. It should be wrapping up shortly. The family obviously here. They do not wish to make any statement to the media as far as they prefer to keep it that way. But this service that started roughly at about 1:30 in nearby Hollywood Hills should be coming to an end in about the next 5 to 10 minutes. And of course we will have complete coverage on this funeral coming up tonight on Eyewitness News as well. For now, Jose Gaspar live in Glendale. Now back to you.
All right, Jose, thank you. We'll be right back.
Now, your first alert weather forecast with Miles Museum.
Still some clouds out there right now. We can see a couple of puffy clouds, and then the high temperatures close to 100 degrees. And then after that, we're going to kind of calm things down to what would be considered seasonable for the first week of July.
Very good. All right, thanks, Miles.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the passage of Officer David Nelson of the Bakersfield Police Department. A lot of folks have left condolence messages on social media, and we've collected a few of them for you on Facebook. We'll be right back.
Now, Eyewitness News Sports with Craig Kerr.
And we head to across the pond to London for a little tennis action.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty nice day for Bakersfield. For Blaze star Billy Hamilton, we'll have that at 6. And the Condors unveil in New Jersey, we'll have that at 6 as well.
Okay. Thanks, Greg.
And that does it for Eyewitness News at 5. Eyewitness News at 6 starts right now.